Good morning, everybody. We are live. We have a special guest here today, Jonathan, one of the senior HR partners at Fresenius. Welcome, Jonathan.
Good morning.
Good morning. And of course, we've got the co-host here, the famous Heidi Bencomo. And then we have our on-site team at Fresenius, Carly and Tani. Welcome, Carly and Tani. We've got a fun interview today with Jonathan. We're going to ask him some questions that he has no idea that we're going to ask. So be prepared for that. And then we're going to talk about jobs at Fresenius and some of the openings and how our on-site team supports you. So we're going to start right after this intro. You ready, guys? Hit it.
Hit it, Steven.
One of my favorite things working at Fresenius, that's a good baseline, Luca. Whoa, how about that?
That one's definitely better than the last.
That is awesome. You can have your own intro.
That's right, just for you. Look at
I keep telling him he needs to add Heidi at the bottom, but he refuses to do it.
I'm working on that one, Heidi.
That's what I keep hearing.
All right, so welcome everybody. It looks like we've already got 1,000 viewers right now. Look at that, Jonathan. No pressure.
There we go.
Please feel free to ask your questions today. We'll add them live right into the stream. If you have any questions about Fresenius, Elwood, hit us with it. So we're going to we want to just welcome Jonathan. Jonathan, you're pretty new to the HR team at Fresenius.
Yeah, that's right.
So you started about a year ago?
Coming up on 10 months, so not even a year yet.
Oh, so you started during the when the pandemic really was taking its toll on the economy.
Yeah, exactly. What an interesting time, right? To try and start a job right at June, middle of the pandemic. It's not ideal, but you know, it was an awesome journey.
So tell us about your journey. Like I got to know what it's like to be like interviewing for a senior management position, like in the middle of a pandemic. How did that transpire? What lead us up to your applying with Fresenius and then actually getting on board?
Yeah. So it's really interesting, right? I mean, like many people know, many interviews are done remotely. You know, you'll have some initial calls over the phone and whatnot, and that's normal, right? That's par for the course. But once you get further on in the process and you start to realize that you still can't go and meet these critical people in person, you can't go see the plant in person, that's when you start to see some pretty big changes. So really how it started, like many others, I found myself without a job. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, my role was impacted. That was back sort of in the March timeframe. So really when things were starting.
Wow.
And so, I lived down in the Salt Lake area, and really, you know, once you hit that time, there was a lot of unknown, a lot of angst, and really personally, it was really hard to understand what does the future look like, right? What roles are going to open up when so many businesses were closing down out of that fear and the unknown. So I was eventually reached out to. I actually did not apply myself to a job at Fresenius.
Wow.
Yeah, and to be honest, it wasn't on my radar. I wasn't aware of them. However, somebody reached out to me and said, "Hey, there's a role up here in the Ogden area. I think might be a really good fit for your background." So had a couple of phone calls. Then I got myself officially into the process, and that's when you begin the phone interviews, etc. But then later, as that was progressing, that's when we realized, hey, we can't come into the plant to interview in person. And so I'm still doing these phone calls, live chats like this. And then what was interesting is once it got to the point where I was going to get an offer, I said, well, hold on, this is great, but I still haven't even seen the plant. Right?
Wow.
We've got an incredible manufacturing plant, and I've not even seen it in person. I don't know what the hallways look like. I don't know what the operation looks like. And so what we did was my manager, she actually via FaceTime walked around in the plant showing me different parts of the plant.
Are you serious?
That is awesome.
Oh my heck.
That was the norm, right? I mean, again, trying to be cautious and try not to spread, right, where community spread with COVID. And that's what we had to do. And that was my intro to the plant floor, was over FaceTime. So they had to adjust, and me as an applicant, I had to adjust, right? And so it was a bigger leap of faith on both sides to realize, look, we can't see everything that we typically are used to seeing, but do we know enough of the critical things of the business? Do they know enough about me as a person that we can still go on? So
that's awesome.
The process.
You know, and that's like the new norm now when you're interviewing. It's like this. It's not in the plant, and you don't get to see the plant in person. And it's, you know, I actually, before COVID, I interviewed with a company 100% over the phone, no video calls. And I got the job, and I didn't meet my boss until a month into my training.
And you never even had a video call, right?
No video call. Yeah. It was just, there was enough trust built from the resume, from the interviews and the assessments, that it was like, yeah, we trust you. We'll take you on board. And that was a big deal. I've never seen a company do that before. And now to see, that becoming a normal thing everywhere.
Yeah, that's interesting, because it really highlights, from a business standpoint, and, even just from an individual standpoint, if you're applying for a role, how do you best communicate, who you are, right? We all want to know the question, right? Who am I, right? Who are you, right? If we're the company we're interviewing, Stephen, who are you? And so without the video, without the in-person, we've got to find a way to really, fine tune those communication points of, let me tell you who I am over the phone, because you're not going to get a chance to do this in person.
All right. Well,
I've noticed that with doing everything virtually, that you see people in their comfort zones, and you get to know their personalities and make sure that those personalities match up with your company a lot better than maybe if they were to come into an interview, act formal, act a little shy, maybe they're not acting a little normal. But when you do those phone interviews and they're in the comfort of their own home, I've noticed that you can really see that connection with somebody more than you would if they were in your office.
Yeah, that's interesting. And even to play to some people's strengths or weaknesses, right? You might feel that you don't present yourself the best way in person, right? Nerves, jitters, whatever it is. And maybe you're a person that says, all right, let's do this over the phone. I feel the most comfortable and confident that way. So it can play, depending, I think, on your personality and your style, it can play out in different ways.
Well, I really like seeing people's backdrops when I'm interviewing them virtually. It's like, you just don't know what to expect. Some people have a really nice background with like bookshelves and books they've never read. And then you have someone with like a bunk bed and stuffed animals.
That's actually funny, because for one of the interviews for Fresenius, I had to actually go down to my parents' house because my kids were all at home instead of at school, because they were learning at home then. And so I was in my parents' library, right? And so there was this whole wall of books, just as you were
nice.
saying. And one of the interviews actually said, hey, out of that whole wall, which book have you actually read? So they actually put me on the spot. Now, luckily, I actually had read quite a few. My parents were good with that in teaching us to read. And so on the spot, I said, actually, let me tell you about this one book. Went, pulled it out, and we started talking about it. And so it was a great, completely on the fly, great talking community interview.
That is awesome. All right. So real quick, we've got a couple comments here. I worked for this place through Elwood, best place I've ever worked for. Well, hey, come on back. We'll welcome you.
Yeah,
Fresenius saves lives. I worked on the D shift for saline pack out. Love everyone I work with, and we all get along. Look at that. D shift's where it's at. I think
go for it.
No, I think Carly met a few D shift supervisors this morning. Right, Carly?
I did. I am not a morning person, but I forced myself to be that morning person this morning so that I could give, some of the D shift supervisors a little bit of attention. So when I got here, I was like, oh, I'm going to regret this later. But it was awesome because I got to meet with some of the night owls here, and they're all great to work with. So that was awesome.
You were there at 5 in the morning?
I actually got here at 4:30. You got to give me that half an hour credit.
Awesome.
Because some of them leave at 5 because, saline and solutions get out of here at 5. So I wanted to be sure to catch them before they were headed out for the day. So.
Absolutely. All right, Jonathan, you talked about your journey to Fresenius and how it wasn't something that you were, looking for, but someone suggested you look at this opportunity, and you went through the entire interview process virtually. So tell us about some of the interview questions that you got during this process. What were some of the hardest questions? Like, give me one example that was like, it's just hard to answer.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll try and recall as best I can. I think the questions that really put you on the spot, or at least that put me, because it forces you to really speak to things clearly, is it's one thing to talk about something. Hey, I'm good at this, but when they say, well, tell me about an actual experience. Like, you talked about something, but highlight to me, show me what you actually did. And so we had, on one of the questions, we had talked about change management. Changes always occur in business, right? We all know that. And so I had talked about some of my efforts in helping with the change management, but I kept getting this recurring question of, well, I get change management, I get the philosophy, the principles of it, but what did you do specifically, right? And so
you're speaking to the framework and the principles, but not like going into detail of, I did this and this, and this was the result.
Yeah, and I thought probably I was trying to go into detail, but clearly from their perspective, they wanted the nitty gritty, right? Let's get down in the weeds. Tell me what you did almost day to day, right? And so they were really pushing to see, because again, we can't meet each other in person. And so I could tell they were really trying to get to know me down to a very deep level in the details. And so, and it forces you to really think back, what did I actually do? And so that's important to think about. Okay, this is what I specifically did. And so those were good, really quality-based questions where you're forced to really think through, what did I do? What was my individual contribution to this task or to this effort?
Did you ever get asked the what's your biggest weakness question?
I think I was asked that.
So I'm going to ask you today, what's your biggest weekness?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. You're interviewing.
I am, yes. I love this question. Stephen hates this question, but I love it.
Okay, my biggest weakness. Okay, I was not anticipating this. All right, so my biggest weakness. Okay.
Is that you have real weakness?
Here's what I feel my biggest weakness is, and then we'll see if I can turn that into a strength. So you let me know how I do at the end. We know some people are dreamers, some people are strategists, other people are doers. And one of the things that I feel I am not the greatest at is actually in taking specific actions. So I have a lot of ideas. I can dream up a lot of things. So I technically, in a lot of ways, could be part of the dreamer category. However, in the workplace, or even things in my personal lives, I find where I have an idea, I have a vision, and it's harder for me to sort of connect the dots between the action, getting that sort of rubber on the road and making things happen, building momentum. And so I have to really remind myself, if I have an idea about something, that's great, but what are the specific steps I have to take in order to see that through, to actually make that happen in real life? And so feedback that I've received over the years is, hey, this is a great idea. Let's make sure that we know how to now connect that idea down, and maybe it's leveraging other people. Maybe I need to know who my resources are.
Exactly.
Work with a team, right? Maybe I need to know, maybe I need to ask more questions, but let's find out how to take that idea, that vision, that dreaming, right? And get it into application. And so that's something that I continually remind myself. It's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to get it in motion with actual momentum. And so those are things that I continue to work on, and I continue to remind myself.
What a great answer. You
loved
hit
it.
Both points on that answer. Heidi, summarize the 2 points that he hit on.
So when I ask the biggest weakness question, or when any HR manager asks it, it's to show two things. One, that you can do a self-evaluation, that you know what your weaknesses are. You're able to look back at your performance and know this is what I'm not good at. And then the second part is to turn that, like you said, into a strength. it's to make sure that you can not only do the self-evaluation, but then you can take action on that self-evaluation and to improve yourself.
Yeah.
And that's extremely valuable in the company.
Yeah, and Heidi, I think you hit on something so important. This is what I love. Over all the years, I've been in HR about 10 years now in actual practice. One thing that I love the most is just somebody that's genuine. The ability to self-reflect, whether right or wrong, whatever mistakes, just self-reflect and say, hey, you know what? Yeah, actually, there's a few areas I could really improve on. Let me tell you what I've been thinking about and how I'd love your help to help me improve. And that genuine approach is huge within business. I find those that have that ability to self-reflect are highly successful, regardless of what job they're in or what they're doing. Just that, being real, right? Being down to earth and just being that real human being.
Well,
you might be able to help me change Steven's mind on this question. Because he really does. He hates this question, but I love it. I love that ability to see somebody, reflect on their own personal experiences and to be able to build from that and to know that that's a great asset to have somebody that can do that. Mm-hmm. And then I love asking the HR managers because it shows all of the employees that are applying that everybody's got weaknesses, even the big bad HR managers.
Everyone does. And I think this comes back to being, our authentic self. Just be authentic, be who you are. And that's when we can really embrace each other. I think it's empowering. So don't, I always encourage people, don't hide behind anything. Just be yourself, right? Same, in interviews, but just in every day in your interactions with people. So I think those are great points, Heidi. Hopefully Stephen, we got to talk about this.
Well, hey, the reason I don't hate the question. I dislike it is because I'm so critical of myself. Like I think I have a new weakness every day. And so I'm like, man, I mean, do you want me to give you the laundry list? Because I've got 100 of them from this week, and there'll be 100 new ones next week. So it's hard for me. But what I do like is I like the fact in that question, people give that answer. And we got a comment here, great information being shared. Thank you. I like to hear someone taking action. For me, one of my biggest weaknesses is being a good listener. And that's something I've been working on for my entire 15 years of management. I've been working on that weakness. And sometimes I think I get it right. Like, wow, I was a good listener in that conversation. And then the next one, I'm like, okay, I need a translator. I totally messed that one up.
Well, and it's interesting, Stephen. So do you find, when you say that, do you find that it changes on different environments or perspectives or just what's going on currently in your life?
Yeah, I think for me, this is just unique to me. It's like how much of my attention is here with you right now, right? Versus I have this huge problem over here and this one over here and all these things going on and this person in front of me is telling me their problem and I'm not really here. I'm like thinking about everything else and so that's it's always situational. Like if you can get my full attention, I'm a great listener. If I'm not giving you my full attention, I'm a terrible listener.
Yeah, duly noted. Now when we have calls, I'm going to make sure that we practice our mindfulness, turn off your phones. I don't know how many phones you have. Sounds like a few.
Just one really big one. It's
a tablet, not a phone. Let's be clear about this.
But it is interesting though, the mindfulness, right? Being present in the moment, right? Focusing on whatever it is. I share similar, maybe not my greatest weakness, but similar times when I think there's too much on my mind. I've got to find a way to correctly compartmentalize and try and think, okay, right now I'm here on this task. Let me execute this. And then that will allow me to then switch gears and focus on something else. Otherwise, I'm just not making too much progress on any of this stuff. Yeah.
Well, so for everyone listening in right now, if you're thinking about how do I, really make an impact on the person that's interviewing me, how do I answer the questions the right way? I think the best tip there's two tips that I could give you. And Jonathan, if you want to add to this, one is be genuine, be yourself. Don't try to go in there, pretending like you're somebody you're not. Be yourself. And the second thing is be prepared. So I remember interviewing as the regional for Elwood, and I tried to immerse myself. What does a regional manager look like? What does he talk like? What does he do day to day? Right? Just by looking at all the reviews online and the job description, I'm like, okay, I feel like a regional manager is there to support the clients that they serve and the associates that go to the clients, and to really build a strong team around that to facilitate that process. And so going in there, my answers were, around what does a regional manager do? How does he facilitate that process? And so I was really prepared for the meeting, but at the same time, I was myself. I wasn't, trying to give them the answer they want to hear. I just, I was me, and that it helped. I mean, I guess I got the job. I had walking pneumonia too when I had that interview, so that's a fun side story. But
I came in to my job interview right after I had broken my nose on my nephew's forehead. I sneezed and I bashed my nose on his forehead, and then I came in and I was really nasally sounding because my nose wasn't quite corrected yet, and it was very interesting.
Stephen, I was going to add. I'm actually not going to add any additional points. I want to second. So both things for sure: being authentic, being prepared. The preparation, though, that one, I think we've talked a lot about earlier about the authenticity of bringing your best self, but the preparation, I'm always surprised and to be honest, sometimes shocked at sort of the lack of preparation. And this is why I think it's a great point to call out is, even sometimes you'll see this from a talent acquisition standpoint when people submit resumes and they might, or they have a cover letter and they've referenced a different company. Right, there's little things, right? Attention to detail. There's little things like that, but when you are there, and you've got some prepared questions. When I'm interviewing people, I can tell really quickly if they have prepared, if they've looked into the company, and I can really tell just by the questions that they have. If they've got nothing to ask, I think, do they really want this? Are they curious?
Great point.
Or you see others and they've got a list of questions. Hey, I saw this online on your website. I was thinking about this. I'm always impressed. Wow, what a great level of preparation. You're genuinely curious. You're interested, and we have, that alone goes. That we want you, right?
I love that.
If you're curious,
I love that curiosity part. Like, hey, what happened to the person before me? Good, bad, or indifferent? Like, why am I here today? That this spot is open, and what's the condition of the area I'm going into right now? What can I expect?
And sometimes, right, companies they may not give people the full answer, right? They may not be able to just because of being confidential, private. Hey, that's a good question on why this role is open now. Let me highlight a couple of things, and it's still a great talking point. So. I've always loved and appreciated when people do come prepared. They've got questions and they're just curious.
Well, Jonathan, I don't know if I know you got a pretty tight calendar. We're going to jump into talking about the openings. I don't know if you're able to stay or if you need to go by 9 a.m.
I can stay on for a few more minutes. After that, I do need to go. So is that okay if I hang on for a few more and then
absolutely. When you pop off, just wave goodbye and.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right. Well, Jonathan's been a fantastic guest. I hope you guys have learned a lot about him and his journey to Fresenius. He really opened up the conversation about job interviews and how to be prepared and some of the harder questions that I hate answering, like what is your biggest weakness? I always wanted to answer that. Well, my biggest weakness is I have no weaknesses.
Everybody has weaknesses, Stephen.
I know. It'd just be fun to see the reaction. But speaking of interviews, so, when you apply with Elwood to go through Fresenius to go get hired on, you can go through Elwood, you can go through Yes, you can go direct hire with Fresenius Medical Care. If you go through Elwood, you actually have a on-site team that's on here, Tani and Carly, that are there to support you, to help you get introduced to your supervisors, your trainers, to give you a tour of the facility, to really help you integrate. and become part of the Fresenius team. And so I wanted to have these two on here to talk about some of the openings that we have that you can apply for. Great positions, great pay. And as you prepare for your interview to come on board, you're going to get to interact with these two during your orientation, which will be over Microsoft Teams. And then when you get set up to meet with your trainer and get started. So Carly, both of you are in the room there. Oh, we got a comment already. We love our Fresenius Onsite team. Woo!
I gotta go see everyone.
All right, thanks, Jonathan.
Bye.
Thanks so much. See everybody. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. All right, so our Fresenius Onsite team. Let's talk about our openings. Let's first introduce you, Carly. We'll go with you first.
Hey, I'm Carly. I've been here. I've been with Elwood since September, and I've had the opportunity to come over to Fresenius and be an on-site since November, and it's been awesome. I've loved being out here. It's great. I get to work with all the individuals, all the supervisors. I learn new things every day. Great company to work for. Elwood's awesome as well.
Oh, thank you.
Fresenius is great. You know, Steve's a great boss. So,
Oh my gosh,
you know,
she's looking for a raise.
here you get to work with Tani and myself. And like Steve mentioned before, we're here for you every step of the way. And we want you to come out here and be successful. We don't want you to come out here for a couple weeks and then move on to, you know, something else because this didn't work out for you. We want to give you every opportunity to be successful here, but we understand, you know, the job isn't for everybody. But we want to make sure that you definitely feel like you went down every path that you could to be successful and enjoy your career here. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little
All
bit
right.
about me. So,
Thank you, Carly. Tani,
Yeah.
you're up.
Am I ready?
Talk a little louder. You'll be good.
I'm Tani.
Oh, turn down your volume, Carly. Mute yourself. That might work.
Can I go now?
There you go.
Okay. I'm Tani. I've been here for about a month now, and I
A
love
month?
it. Carly's great to work with. It's just been a great experience so far, and I love our associates. I love interacting with them, and it's just a great environment altogether.
Awesome. Well, welcome, Tani. Has it really been a month? It seems like 2 days.
I know, right? I feel like I've only been here for like a second.
I've been here for 3 years and it only feels like 3 months. It's outrageous. All right. So who wants to talk about our openings? Let's get right into it. We don't have to go like every shift, every department, but just give us an overview of what it looks like to work at Fresenius. 3.5 days on and 3.5 days off. Sometimes it's you start your week with a half day and 3 days on, and what does all that look like, Carly?
yeah. So just a little bit, I just want to kind of give you guys an idea. Some people have heard about Fresenius and don't know exactly like what we do here. So Fresenius provides product and services to individuals with renal disease. We provide products and services to almost, I want to say last time I checked, it was like 3.7 million patients worldwide. So Obviously there's a lot of need for the products and services that we provide here. Dialysis is a vital blood cleansing product that substitutes the functions in of the kidney in the cases of kidney failure. So obviously everybody who's using our product are in some sort of stage of kidney failure. We also do saline and solution bags. We fill them here, and those saline bags are also being used on COVID patients worldwide as well. So
That's really
definitely.
cool. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
You're fine.
People don't always correlate the saline bags that Fresenius being used for patients, with COVID that are in the hospital. Mm-hmm. It's a pretty neat thing.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about Fresenius. Anyway, so yes, we do offer 12-hour shifts, and I know 12-hour shifts aren't for everybody, but who doesn't want to work 3.5 days and have the rest of the week to do whatever you want, especially with like
Me.
summer coming up. Everyone's going to be excited because we're going to start getting into that warm weather. Everyone's going to want to.
Can we make that an Elwood schedule for on-sites and staffing recruiters?
I wish. Get on that, Steve. But yeah, so we offer 12-hour shifts, and the way that they're broken up is they are Wednesday to Saturday or Sunday to Wednesday. So Wednesdays are always a half day, so you'll work a 6-hour shift, depending on what shift you're on or what schedule. So we have A, B, C, and D shift. So, but yeah, all the shifts are great. All the supervisors are wonderful to work with. I really like the shifts because, like I said, who doesn't want 4 days off? So we understand that 12 hours is not for everybody, but it definitely has its benefits. Pay is anywhere up to $16.75 depending on the hours and the shift that you're on. And then the department it just kind of depends on what area, like I said, you're in as far as pay goes. They are offering unlimited overtime right now. So all you workaholics, come on down to Fresenius because I got tons of hours for you. So definitely has its benefits, like I said, to working here. And then all these positions here are attempt to hire. So if you're coming to work every day and you are a freaking rock star and you are ready to make this a career, then let myself or Tani know, and we will get you on the track to being hired on so that you can take advantage of Fresenius's awesome benefits as well.
Absolutely. So just if we could, let's hit on some people watching. They're like, okay, that sounds awesome, but how much do I make? What are you going to pay me? So let's see here. And what kind of benefits do I get? Is there a cafeteria or a gym? So let's get on that, Carly.
So like I said, pay is up to $16.75 an hour. That our highest paying shift right now is our D shift, which is the back end of the week. I know a lot of people are like, oh, but that's all weekend. Like, who wants to take my whole weekend? But really, you can have a weekend during the weekend. I feel like that's better because then everyone else is at work while you're out playing, and
right.
So you don't have to deal with all the craziness. So
I actually had the opportunity to talk to an HR manager over at a company that we service here in Logan. And he says that he met this one guy who'd been working on a weekend night shift for years and years and years. And he just asked me, he says, dude, you've been here so long. You can pick whatever shift you want. Why are you on this weekend night shift? And he said, you've clearly never been on the river on a Tuesday in the middle of the day because everybody else is working. You get the fish all to yourself. You get to go float the river by yourself. You get to go camping with nobody else at the campgrounds. It's the best shift he's ever been on.
Yeah. Can you imagine the grocery stores in the middle of the day on a Tuesday?
Right?
Like, you wouldn't even have to wait in line, But yeah, and then we do have a cafeteria here. Awesome food. They cook it, you go up to the window, you order your food, and then the nice little cafeteria people bring it to you in a box and tell you to have a wonderful day. They're the nicest people. I remember I went there and they just shut down the cafeteria to clean it, and I really wanted some French fries. And you know what they did? They made me some French fries, So they're awesome. Awesome food. They have drinks, coffee for you crazy coffee drinkers. They have coffee. They have.
Do they have tacos? Do they make tacos?
I bet they make you tacos. I bet they would.
There is fajita and taco day. They make some killer food. I mean, I remember the first time I ate there, it was like, am I eating at Cafe Rio? Like, they make this burrito fresh in front of you. You get to pick what you want in it. Do you want it smothered with cheese? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Stephen, every time we talk about these companies and all of the stuff that they offer, I'm really starting to second guess my life choices here.
You stop this, Heidi. You have a 20-year non-compete. You're going nowhere.
I'm pretty sure that's not a thing, Stephen.
It was really small print at the bottom. You didn't see it, but it was there.
But yeah, so the cafeteria is awesome, and like we mentioned before, being on site here, definitely has the advantages for you folks. If you need anything, whether it's, to look up your pay stub, to ask a question, you have some concerns with your training, like we're here to help you along the way. We're available most of the time, 24/7. You shoot us a text, we'll follow up with you as soon as we get it. We want to make sure, like I said, you're successful here at Fresenius. We want this to be, your one stop for a job. And if it's not, we'd love to have you here, but we understand, like I said, that it's not for everybody. So definitely
one of the coolest things that I've noticed about on-sites is that when you go through a staffing agencies, a lot of the times you get sent off to the company and it's just kind of fend for yourself. Mm-hmm. But with on-sites, especially our on-sites at Fresenius, it's much more of like, hi, it's nice to meet you. Let me show you around. Let me show you what we do. You kind of get that extra step to feel more comfortable, more at home when you're at work.
Yeah.
We try to associate with you too, like on a personal level, because we know that everybody has life outside of work. We want to know about your kids. We want to know about how your vacation went, your plans for the summer. Like, we want to be able to have those conversations instead of just talking about, work all the time.
Well, speaking of talking about work all the time, so earlier we were interviewing Jonathan, some of his favorite questions. So Carly, how would you answer what's your biggest weakness question?
Steven, I think there's an employee at my door. I gotta go. What's my biggest weakness? I would have to say, like, saying no, to be honest. Like, I have a really hard time, like, telling people no. And that's like my weakness at home. I have a hard time telling my kids.
And how are you resolving that professionally?
I'm trying to, like, find ways, instead of saying no, finding other solutions, Maybe this isn't working, but let's try this instead. And if that still doesn't work, then, we'll move on to something else. But definitely I try my best to work with everybody. And I understand I can't please everybody, and not everyone's going to be happy with the decisions that I make or the choices that I choose for them if they aren't making the right one. But I try to make everyone happy for the most part, but yeah, that's my biggest weakness.
You're talking about the workload I asked you to work, like, hey, here's these 30 things to do today on top of your 50. And you're like, yep, I got them.
Yep. Even if that means that I have to, stay a couple extra hours to make sure, everyone's taken care of, everyone gets what their needs are, then I'm willing to do that. So,
Carly, you've got a little one that's going to be a toddler here soon. You need to learn how to say no.
Hey, Heidi, you knocked this off.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's
my daughter's favorite word.
You got to have a good work-life harmony. And that's, everyone gets to find what that looks like for themselves. Well, thank you, Carly. What about Tani? What's your biggest weakness?
Hold on, let me mute myself so we're not echoing. All right, sorry.
We good?
Was this not asked during your interview a month ago?
Huh?
Was this question not asked during your interview?
It was asked a month ago, but like your weaknesses change, I feel like. I feel like
But this is your biggest.
My biggest weakness?
Yeah.
Wanting to please everybody.
You can't have the same answer as Carly.
But how?
You just said it in a different way.
How do you not though? Because it's like that's just what women do. We try to please everybody. We try to please all of the people in our lives because we just want to make everybody happy and so that everybody's positive around us. You know what I mean? So I think my biggest weakness would be trying. I don't know. Pleasing everybody. That would have to be my biggest weakness.
So you want everyone to have a favorable opinion of yourself and what you do and the work you put in, right?
I just want everybody to be happy, and not everybody's going to be happy all the time, but we just have to try our best,
Yeah. I think all of us can relate to this, whether you're a woman or a man, wanting to just leave a good impression. Like, that person was happy with the interaction of our conversation or the task that I was asked to do. And you want people to be happy with the results, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes we can overdo it because, to Carly's point, there's sometimes we need to say no because we have, so much work already. There's not enough room for more. And so now it's a matter of prioritizing versus adding more.
Yeah. And we're stretching ourselves thin.
Yes. Yeah. So I think all of us can probably suffer from that, except for Heidi. She's just like, has a
I don't
damn
mind telling Stephen no. Like, Stephen, no. Just go get somebody else to help you.
It's true. All right. Well, great panel today. Thank you guys. It was really, it was fun having Jonathan on here from Fresenius to talk about his career move from being unemployed because of the pandemic and interviewing virtually for the first time, and accepting a job offer before even being in the facility, getting an iPhone, Facebook, FaceTime tour, and then talking about interview questions, and then getting to know our Onsite team, Carly and Tani, and how they're here to support you and some of the jobs we have out there. Got a comment.
I do have
a big key.
Sorry, Stephen. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I do have just a quick question for Tani before you sign us off here.
Oh, go ahead.
So what are you most nervous about moving forward in this position? You've only been there for a month. So what are you thinking about having to do by yourself that's making you extremely nervous?
I'll be honest, the only thing that I'm extremely nervous about is getting lost on plant. Like, that's the only thing that I've honestly been nervous about. Other than that, like, I'm excited to start. Carly's been great. All the associates have been great. So it's just been a great experience all around. Love Steven. He's amazing.
Oh my God.
I figured on the next Facebook Live that we have you on, if it's a couple months out, I'm going to ask you the same question and see if it's still that you're nervous of getting lost, and we'll see if that's changed.
Okay.
And don't feed my ego. It's big enough. Just
that's true.
Say Steven's okay. Like, whatever.
You and all your coffee supplements.
All right. Well, this has been one of the longest Facebook Lives we've done in a long time. So, and we've kept an active viewership. So, if you guys want to see more content like this, let us know. Be sure to subscribe to our new YouTube channel. It's called Northern Utah Jobs. And as soon as we get 100 subscribers, we can then coin that URL. So subscribe now. And I don't think I linked it above. Go to the past Facebook Live. It's in that one. But everybody have a fantastic weekend. And we're going to do another live this afternoon, probably with just Heidi. It's going to be a pre-show or after the show Facebook Live. So we'll see how that goes.
You guys get a little sneak peek into what happens
again,
before we start these.
If you're looking for a career move, visit elwoodjobs.com. Click on the branch that's closest to you, and you can see a variety of the openings. We have over 400 openings, and we'd love for you to consider Fresenius if that's a good move for you. If you're not sure, call us. One of our recruiters, our on-sites, will talk to you about the position. We'll really find out what you're looking for income-wise, your schedule to fit your home life, and we'll see if Fresenius is a good fit for your schedule and your income needs. And then we'll get you started right away. It's an easy process. It's fast. You can interview today. You could sometimes start today, and we make it as easy as possible. So definitely check out our jobs online at elwoodjobs.com and talk to one of our recruiters. And
or you could just Google Elwood Staffing, call the office that's closest to you, and one of us will get you squared away.
Absolutely. So visit, and then you might be able to visit Carly and Tani when you get hired on. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic
Have a good weekend.